Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alina and I'm a growth minded single mom here in Houston, Texas. And in today's video, as you can see in the title, I'm going to be talking about how to build high self esteem as a single mother. It is tough out here for single moms. I feel that there are a lot of opportunities to expose yourself to ideas that really put us down. So it's really important that we are able to go within ourselves, within our communities, to grow and develop our self-esteem because even when the world tells us that we lack value, that no one's going to want us, we can either choose to believe that thought pattern or we can build ourselves up and believe in ourselves, believe in our value, believe what we have to offer our home and our children and to the world. So, the three main steps that I know will help you to build high self esteem as a single mother are number one, taking care of yourself. Number two, deciding the type of mother that you want to be. And number three, deciding the type of child you want to raise. And point one, with taking care of yourself, I have five key categories in taking care of yourself. The first category is taking care of your sleep. I believe that sleep is the foundation for everything in your life. It determines how you show up the next day, how you take care of yourself, how you feel, how you act, what you eat, how you perform. It affects so much. So it's really important that as single mothers, we find a way to get our 7 to 9 hours of sleep as often as possible. Um, if that means that you need to look into getting your child to sleep in their own room, I would highly encourage you to do so. Or if you need to develop a sleep routine that works for you, like a wind down routine that works for you, I really recommend doing that. For me personally, what works is, I used to have really terrible sleep and I learned about the physiological sigh. I learned about temperature exposure. So, like, if I went through a round of doing the physiological sigh and I still was not able to fall asleep within a few minutes, I could expose myself to the cold by either taking a cold shower or running my hands under cold water or with ice. Also, I often listen to like sleep hypnosis by Michael Sealey on YouTube. I'll just put it on the Bluetooth speaker in my room and listen to that. And along with being able to fall asleep at night, it's really important to exert yourself during the day physically. And that takes me to my next point, which is the second category of taking care of yourself, and that is making sure that you have a daily movement practice. If you are not taking care of your physical body, it's just really hard to be able to build in life because you will not have the energy, you will not have the focus. And realistically, if you're not taking care of your physical body, you're not going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel ugly in your clothes, you're going to be fatigued, and you can have a whole host of health issues that are waiting to welcome you with open arms if you're not having a daily movement practice. And if you've watched past videos, I talk about this so much because it has really changed my life. But the first step to having a daily movement practice is to set a small goal. And I say that small goal should be a certain amount of time walking either in a day or in a week. So if you're coming from a sedentary lifestyle, I think you should aim to have 1, 2, 3, 5 to 7 minute walks in a week. Literally, you should start the bar that low because it's much easier to build upon these small goals than it is to say, okay, I I need to work out 5 days a week, an hour and a half at the gym. It's just not realistic or reasonable, especially if you're coming from a sedentary lifestyle. Now, if you are starting from a place where you're already working out 4 days a week and you want to increase it to 5 days a week, that makes more sense. And even in that, I might say Instead of saying you need to work out 5 days a week every week, maybe aim for 5 days a week, twice a month, just to, make sure we're inching the bar instead of putting it a foot or 2 feet above ourselves. Along with your daily movement practice and sleep, the third category of self care, in my opinion, is your nutrition. Okay. When I talk about nutrition, I'm talking about having nourishing meals. And with today's wide, expansive, vast of different diets, keto, blue zone, carnivore, vegan, I don't know, paleo. There's so many options out there, but it's important to just find something that works for you and stick to it until you can decide whether or not there's another route that would work better. So, for me personally, I just like to make sure that I'm having a lot of vegetables and focusing on mainly whole foods. In the past, I have done more of like an animal based diet, and I stuck to that long enough to realize that, okay, I actually like how I feel when I eat more vegetables than I eat meat. Because when I eat more vegetables, I feel more energized, more bouncy, buzzy, floaty. And when I eat meat, I a lot of meat, I feel more grounded, more heavy. And so it just depends on what works for you. With that being said, just like I talked to the mom that was living a sedentary lifestyle and needs to implement a movement practice, I want to talk to her too, because it's just not realistic that if you're coming from a place where you don't have really any insight into nutrition, you've never eaten well in your whole life, or maybe you've just been kind of on in a rut, it's not realistic to expect yourself to eat these nourishing meals every day for every meal, or I just feel like that again places too much expectation on yourself. It is too quick of a change. And a lot of times it results in a restrictive mindset towards your nutrition. And as we know, when it comes to restricting yourself in terms of food and caloric intake, that typically will result in a binge because you wind up undernourishing yourself and your body is just going to scream out to you. And then when you binge, who knows how long you're going to be binging or, refeeding yourself. And it's going to put you in a bad mindset and make you go back into this restrictive sort of cycle. So, my suggestion with that is to start by making it a goal to eat one nourishing meal a week, or maybe two nourishing meals a week. And leading up to that day, that one day a week, or that those 2 days a week, I would recommend looking online for meals that actually make you feel excited and are indeed nourishing. Uh, And and by doing so, not only will you make this like a fun process for yourself, you'll be able to look up different recipes and learn what it takes to make a nourishing meal. And so, not only are you building your own self esteem, building your confidence, you're also actually acquiring skills. And because making nourishing meals is a skill set, especially as a mother, because your child is going to be looking to you for their own nutrition and movement practices. So it's really important to develop that within ourselves so that we can pass healthy habits on to our child. So we have sleep, movement, nutrition, and these last two I are really close to my heart because I don't know that everybody recommends this as part of self care. But if you have the ability to meet with a therapist, you should. Because if you're a single mother, chances are you got some trauma, okay, that you need to work through. I definitely do, and I did, and so I went to therapy as soon as it clicked to me that I should go. As single mothers, we might have some PTSD, bipolar, border personality disorders. Did I say anxiety? That's definitely anxiety, maybe some depression, and dealing with all these things makes it so much harder to go on with her everyday life as even just a woman without children or a child. And then when you do have a child, you have like sort of an external stressor, because we know our children can push our buttons and can really trigger things within ourselves that maybe might make us act in a way that is not really in alignment with the type of parent that we want to be. So I say it's so, so, so important to go to therapy if you can, as soon as you can. And when it comes to therapy, I was lucky enough to meet a therapist that met my needs on the first meeting. However, I will say that I feel that over time your needs might evolve. So, what I'm trying to say is just because you have one therapist that doesn't really match with you, don't give up on therapy. Just keep looking for a therapist that's a right fit. And two, even if you have a therapist for a year or 2 years, it's okay to realize that your needs have changed beyond what that therapist can offer you anymore, and to be able to be okay with shifting to a new therapist or looking for a new therapist. When I was looking for my first therapist, I wanted a woman. I wanted a woman who kind of resembled me in a way, like some sort of brownness in her skin, and I wanted her to have like a kind, nurturing face and eyes. I know that might sound so weird, but this is the only I didn't know anything about picking a therapist. I just know that when I was with her, I wanted to feel a maternal connection in a way to her, or yeah, I think feel a maternal need being met within myself by meeting with her. Okay. So we have sleep, movement, nutrition, therapy. And the final aspect, in my opinion, of taking care of yourself is religion. I grew up in a home that was not religious. I mean, my grandparents are Catholic, and my mom is technically Catholic too. However, I didn't I mean, past making my first communion, there we really never went to church except for if we were all together as a family with my grandparents for holidays. So I didn't really have religion as a foundation of who I am. But as I grew older and as I worked through life as a single mother, it felt really important to me to come back to faith and discover or reconnect with God. Because I've said this too in the past, being a single mother, I felt forgotten about by God. And I think maybe a lot of other single mothers can relate to that too. When the reality is, God never forgot about me. And I love this line that Chance the Rapper says. He says, "Look at the fam you grew. God had a plan for you when you thought Jesus forgot you." That to me still shakes me to my core, because it's like, okay, I was not forgotten about by God. I was specially chosen for this mission to raise my child in the best way that I can and to develop self reliance in this journey of being a single mother. So I feel that, and I learned this in therapy too, that part of reconnecting with God was needing to forgive myself and understand that God had chosen me for this, specifically for this path. So I'm also trying to say that even if you were born into one religion and it does not resonate with you, or you have religious trauma with that, um, I want to encourage you to keep seeking God. And a lot of times that is through religion. I'm not saying that through religion is the only way to connect with God, but I feel that religion kind of takes some of the guesswork out of our connection with God. And as a single mother, I want as little guesswork as possible. I want direction, clarity, because give me direction and I will walk the course the best that I can. I'm not perfect. I'm a sinful creature, but religion has been very, very helpful for me. And I did not connect with Christianity. I connected with Islam because for me, there's only one God worthy of worship. He has no equals, no partners. And so, again, if you have experienced any religious trauma or you just didn't connect to the religion that you were born in, I really encourage you to continue your search to have a strong connection with God. Because something that I didn't understand when I was younger as well is forming my religious identity would have been really helpful in dating, in coming into womanhood, especially if you don't have the best relationship with your parents. Your parents are not there, or maybe they don't connect with you in a way to be your guides in this world. Religion can really help you develop your morals. Hang on a second. Can help you develop an idea of what it means to be a self respecting woman. And once you understand what it means to be a self respecting woman and you practice that, then you'll be able to have discernment when you're meeting these men in the world. You'll be able to see who is good for you and who is not good for you, because with religion, God is very expressive about the expectations that he has on a self-respecting woman. And when you put those boundaries forward in front of you, between you and a man who's approaching you, it will be very clear. It'll be very clear what man has good respecting intentions of you and who is going to make you a single mother. Okay. All right, so those are my 5 keys to self-care. Sleep. Take care of your sleep, mom. Get a daily movement practice, mom. Focus on your nutrition. I'm saying once or twice a week. That's your starting point. Once or twice a week, have a really good nourishing meal. Maybe it's a steak potato salad. Maybe it's a fish veggie and some, I don't know, some grains. Whatever that looks like to you, just try and be so proud of yourself. Okay. The fourth is to go to therapy. If you can go to therapy, go to therapy. There's a lot of resources out there. There's BetterHelp. There's psychologytoday.com. You can search for therapists there. And I find that a lot of jobs are really accommodating of you. I like Now we live in an age where we can do everything online. So I was able to attend therapy virtually, and that was really helpful. I could do it during my lunch break, no problem. And finally, figure out a religion that resonates with you and do your best to move with those religious values in mind. Okay. My next step to building high self esteem as a single mother is to decide the mother that you want to be. And I could say to actually decide that the woman that you want to be first, and then decide how is she as a mother? Who is she as a mother? I've spent a lot of time, and I will continue spending time developing myself into the woman that I see in my mind's eye. And the woman in my mind's eye even will continue developing. I will continue journaling about her. I will continue meeting her in my dreams because I want to meet her so badly. I want to become one with her. And when I journal about, okay, what does the woman that I, what, okay, the most ideal version of myself, what does she do in a day? How does she carry herself? What does she wear? What does she do for work? How does she eat? And what type of mother is she? And when I think about that, I can think of a few questions in terms of the mother that I want to be. One is, how do I want to show up in my home? Two is, how will I parent differently than my parents? How will I handle discipline? And what memories do I want to create? These are just 4 questions, but there are endless questions that you can ask yourself. For me, I want to show up for my children as a guide. I want to teach them valuable life skills that they're going to need in order to become growth minded, confident, and well rounded children who love God. Okay. I want them to know how to wash their clothes, iron their clothes, wash their dishes, how to set an alarm so they can wake themselves up in the morning, how to cook their own meals, how to live a healthy lifestyle. I'm the how to type of mom. And so it's just funny because now we're in a phase where my daughter like wants some separation between us. And I feel like a little taken aback at times, but then I remind myself, it's like, oh, Lena, you have created a daughter who's independent because you have been the how to mom. She knows how to do these things. So it is only natural that she's going to want to seek independence. And so, yeah, that's been a very interesting experience. Okay, so in terms of what I want to do differently than my parents, is for me, it feels just really important to respect my daughter, um, and understand that I'm not here to control her. Only God is in control of that life. Again, I'm just here to teach and I'm here to guide. And again, I am not perfect because I like to have control. So I do find myself having to remind myself to take a step back and just guide her and teach her and let her do her thing. And how will I handle discipline? This is something I'm still trying to figure out. Okay. I'm still trying to figure this out because some days I feel like I am just totally failing in terms of discipline. And I think it's really important here in terms of discipline is to just talk to other parents, because I'm personally choosing to discipline very, very differently than how I was disciplined and what I've seen in my community. So it's important to reach out and create new community and see, okay, how are you disciplining your children? And if you see like a child who seems really well adjusted, really good at self-regulation, go talk to their parents and ask them for advice and see what do they do. I find that a lot of parents that I admire have read parenting books. And so when I ask or when I bring forth a issue that I'm facing in my home, these parents typically always have a book to recommend pertaining to the topic that I'm struggling with. Okay. And then finally, what are the memories that I want to create for my life as a mother with my child? I want to travel with her. That is something that's really important to me. And that's something that I've been doing with her. And it just feels so rewarding when my child turns to me and she's like, do you remember when we were in Colorado and we did X, Y, and Z together? Or remember when or she says she's so excited for trips that we have coming up. Um, but yeah, that's my second key is to decide, journal about, reflect on the ideal version of yourself and who she is as a mother, how she shows up in her home. And finally, the last key that I have is to decide the type of children that you want to raise. For me, like I mentioned, I want to raise confident, growth minded, well rounded children. And um, I have um, five main areas that are priorities to me. Okay, so I want to raise children who are athletic with the knowledge to create and maintain healthy physical bodies. So, with that in mind, I can map our lives. Okay. So if I'm going to prioritize athleticism, then that means I'm probably going to be investing my money into athletics for my child. So then it's important to expose my child to different sports until they find one that they really like. Right now, my daughter loves swimming. So you better bet we're going to swimming multiple days a week. Secondarily, something that I've seen transform my daughter's um, self confidence and her physical body is through track and cross country. And because this is a sport that pushes my daughter and I feel like he puts her in the best shape, you better bet that not only are we going to swimming multiple days a week, we're doing cross country, we're doing track. Okay. The second thing is I want to raise disciplined children. And so I do have things like the alarm clock in their room. I do make sure that whenever they want something, they need to put forth effort to work for it. For example, my daughter wants a new pair of running shoes. I could go out and just get her a pair of running shoes, or I could allow her to use her own money to go get a pair of running shoes. But I wanted to use this as an opportunity to encourage discipline in her um, daily routine. So for cross country, one of the requirements is that every athlete must be doing abs and push ups on the days that they're not at practice because they do these things at practice too. And so I told her if she does abs and push ups for 45 days, then and only then will I get her running shoes, new running shoes. So I think she's done 3 days so far, and I'm not going to be on her about it. This is something that has to come from within, it has to come from her own internal motivation. So yeah, this is my idea about raising a disciplined child. Anytime she wants something, I will see how can I make her work for this. Okay, in terms of a well-rounded child, I want to make sure that my child has exposure to an instrument, to a language, and like I mentioned earlier, to sport. In terms of language, it was really important for me to find a program that exposed her to language on a regular basis. It wasn't really satisfying my need to have her exposed to Spanish once a week. So I went out of my way to look for an immersive program. Now, if there are no immersive programs in your area and language is important to you, I would consider looking for like non-school related programs that teach a second language. Spanish is, at least where I'm at in Texas, there are a lot of programs out there that will teach your child Spanish. We've got French, we've got Chinese, and those are really the main languages that come to mind. The next thing is music. And I don't actually have my daughter in any music yet. However, inshallah, next year, I do want to enroll her in piano lessons. So I have all these ideas of how to create a well rounded child. And with that is the realization that all these things cost money. So, if I want my child to have a music skill, then I know that I'm going to need to invest money and time into making sure that she gets the teaching that she needs in order to actually acquire that skill. So, the last thing, of course, is sport, which see point one. All right, number four is I want children who have tawakkul, who have God consciousness. Being that I came from a Catholic background to an Islamic into the Islam, um, I will provide Islam as a foundation for my children. However, I place no expectations that they will continue to follow this religion. I place no expectations that they practice the religion in a certain way. This is not my concern. This is not my priority. I just want them to know that God is there, that there are paths that can be followed to facilitate a connection with God, and to know that in their darkest moments, when they feel so alone, that God is there and they have been specially chosen for their mission by the Creator. So, when it comes to God consciousness, I'm just setting a foundation, showing them a way. But if they come to me and say, Mom, I want to be Christian, I want to be Jewish, I'm like, okay, I'm just happy that you are connecting with the Creator. Alhamdulillah. Okay. And five is I want my children to feel valuable. And this is something that I recently started thinking about because I see that a lot of kids, when adults speak to them, that they don't really respond or they don't know how to have a conversation. And I want my children to feel like their thoughts and ideas are very valuable so that when adults do talk to them, they're able to hold a conversation and express themselves confidently, and also know that in conversation, it's so important to ask questions to the person you're in conversation with. For example, how many kids have you talked to where you ask them a question, they just say good, bad, it's fine? Now, I want my children to be communicative, feel valuable, all that good stuff. Okay. And this is my last like little sub tip is that as a single mother, it is so important to not compare yourself or compare your children to those that come from a relatively healthy two parent dual income home. Okay. I have found myself doing this, comparing the progress of other people's children to mine, or comparing their lifestyle, the vacations they go on, the investments they're able to make into different programs for their children. I compare myself to that and feel like a lesser parent because I'm not able to at that time provide those same opportunities to my child. Don't do that. Okay. We work with what we have, we work with the resources that God has given us, and we always work toward acquiring more resources that God has intended for us in the future. Instead of comparing yourself to people who are in a marriage and have a dual income, live in a dual income home, I would say to build a network with other moms because I found that other moms have been able to put me on game in terms of different academic, athletic programs, life hacks, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying this is true for all mothers who come from a two parent home or who are in a two parent home, but a lot of them I've noticed seem to have, I don't know, more knowledge about beneficial resources in the community. Not only have I had moms point me in the direction of good parenting books, they've pointed me in the direction of swim programs, of different athletic programs, of after school tutoring programs that are not affiliated with my child's school. And just different opportunities. Oh, and like homeschooling curriculum and virtual schooling through our city. So those are my tips to build high self-esteem as a single mother. And to the single mom watching this, just know that you are so loved, that God has not forgotten about you. God loves you so much, and God has specially chosen you for this mission. God has decided for you that your self reliance is going to be one of your superpowers. And just trust in God, trust in His plan for you, and know that you are so loved and you are so seen and you are so valued, even though there are people out there who will tell you otherwise. You need to go within and develop yourself. And once you do those things, you take care of yourself, you decide the mother that you want to be, and you be her, and you decide the children that you want to raise, and you raise them. No one can take that from you. No one can ever take that from you. Okay? See you guys in the next video.